Moments after a New York landlord was finally able to evict a squatter who stayed in his property for more than 3 years, the city of New York fined the landlord thousands of dollars. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. Alright, so I have an interesting update to a video that I did just a short while ago about how a New York landlord was finally able to evict this squatter tenant who basically had taken over his properties for 3 years, not paying rent, and he couldn't get rid of them, couldn't get these people out of his properties. And, it was a really, really bad situation. So you have these squatters in there, they're being protected by the city and the state and the federal eviction moratoriums. And guess what? They just tore the properties apart. And because they tore the properties apart, the city began to impose fines on these landlords. Now, the landlords can't remove the people. The people won't let them in the property. It's a very dangerous situation. The landlords decided to go through the legal process, get these people removed the correct way, even though it meant taking thousands and thousands of dollars worth of losses. And how are they rewarded? Well, the city fines them. Okay, the city, blames them for the place not being in a good livable condition, even though they couldn't even get in the place. And now, they're hitting them again. So yeah, this is ridiculous. And once again, I always say, well, there's certain places I would not want to own real estate, where I wouldn't want to be a landlord. And New York is one of those places because of all the rules, all the regulations, the over bureaucracy. They got too much bureaucracy in the city, okay? And they treat the business owners, the people who own properties, they treat us as though we are the criminals, like we should be begging to be there with them, and that's just not the case, okay? They are not an island. We can find other places to invest. There are better ways to spend our money. And I tell people all the time, look out in other parts of the country if necessary, but at least look outside of these really, really bad major cities, and maybe into areas that are further out where the rules are not quite as strict, because you're going to really pay the price in terms of your peace of mind, and that's worth a lot. It really is. Now, you might make a great deal of money in terms of appreciation, but you know what? Peace of mind is very valuable. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Do you believe that the landlord should be responsible for damages done by the tenants while they were going through the eviction process, while they refused to leave, refused to let the landlords in? Do you think that it's right the city fined this landlord and wants them to, pay these fines? I don't, okay? Obviously, but there's probably some pro-tenant moron who thinks, oh, well, the landlord should have kept the property up even when the squatters were living there. Like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But anyway, let's get into this article and see what it says. This article is coming from the New York Post, and it says, landlords get new fines from New York City moments after ousting sex abusers, squatters. Yeah, moments afterwards. So they had, I remember, I think I posted some pictures in my last video, and, they had, I think I had a video even, right? And they were showing how, they had city buildings, people up there. And guess what? Those people, rather than making sure that those squatters got out of there, they were racking up fines for the landlord, like not even giving them the opportunity to fix the place up after removing the squatters. They immediately start fining them. That's how stupid all this is. Anyway, let's get into the article and see what it says. A pair of weary Brooklyn landlords can't catch a break from city building inspectors who slapped them with new fines moments after authorities cleared the properties of squatters brought in by a convicted sex offender. Just as the NYPD and a city marshal finally ousted 10 people who had been illegally living in Mohammed Chowdhury and Boyson Lorik's trio of dilapidated Neptune Avenue homes, the buildings department swooped in and issued $5,000 in violations, the landlords charged. It's just like beating a dead body, Chowdhury cried about the fresh penalties. The hapless homeowners purchased the crumbling structures in Coney Island for $1.3 million as an investment in 2019, only to find Peter Fonseca, 45, living in a garage behind 3508 Neptune Avenue. To me, and I remember that they were boarding the place up to make sure these squatters weren't able to come back in and get back into the property, right? Well, there should be some kind of grace period where they say, okay, we're going to allow you to, have the opportunity to fix these properties up now that these tenants and these squatters are removed, okay? Because if they don't give the people the opportunity to actually fix this stuff and they just start hitting them with fines, then we're talking about it's just not fair, okay? It's just not fair. It's not right. And, it doesn't surprise me, though, okay? They are known for basically, treating property owners and landlords as though we are the bad guys. And so they want to come in there. They want to find, these bureaucrats don't have any common sense. They can't have any common sense. How could you have any common sense sitting here saying, oh, well, we're going through this heavy eviction. Maybe the people who were living in there are the ones who tore it up and made it unlivable. Okay? I mean, after all, they were in there for 3 years squatting in the house. Okay? These weren't even people who were on the lease in many cases. Okay? But yeah, this is ridiculous. And they should feel ashamed of themselves. Yeah, I'm saying it, right? Those freaking bureaucrats up there who are inspecting this property are nothing but morons who should feel ashamed for doing nothing except for wasting people's time and being stupid. Chowdhury and Lorik were stuck out of town for months during the pandemic and returned to find Fonseca and his wife Trina had been renting out units illegally to violent squatters during the pandemic, the landlords claim. Dobb, meanwhile, buried the pair, and by Dobb I think it means Department of Buildings, buried the pair with more than $370,000 in violations and fines for the house's decaying condition, even though the squatters prevented the two from making repairs. So yeah, the squatters wouldn't let these guys make repairs, wouldn't let them in the property, okay? They were holed up in the place, had it, closed up. They would probably get violent with them if they tried to come in, or get violent with any contractors who try to come in. So what were they supposed to do? Yet at the same time, the city is telling them, hey, we can't evict these people. You cannot get rid of them. They are stuck there. The police cannot remove them. And then it took them 3 years and a court order to finally be able to get that legal eviction notice. The police were able to remove them, and they're finally able to do repairs, but they've already racked up, $370,000 in fines from the city. Okay? So, to me, the city is, it's a cash grab. That's what it is, right? They want these landlords to pay a whole bunch of money for no good reason, and they're treating them like they are the criminals, like they are the ones who created this problem, and they aren't, okay? They are not the ones who created this situation. Yeah, this article has a few good pictures in it, and I'll throw them up on the screen so that you can see them. And one of them appears to be a vacate order, and one has a picture of, I guess, when they were actually going through the deportation process with the tenants. So, in case you didn't see my last video, these are pretty cool pictures here. But yeah, I have to bring this sort of thing up because, when I tell people that, hey, there is another way, there are other places where you can invest that are, they still treat landlords and property owners with respect. Yeah, they really are. And no, you won't be able to get the sort of appreciation you get there. But you know what? It's still worth it to go there, in my opinion. So let me finish this up real quick. The latest slap from the city came after inspectors found a garage had been converted by Fonseca into an illegal apartment. Inspectors knew that we have no control over property and we have suffered heavy losses, Chowdhury said, estimating they owe an additional $100,000 in taxes and utilities. Still, they are issuing us violations. Property owners are required to keep their properties in safe and code-compliant condition at all times, DOB spokesman Andrew Rudansky said, adding that Chowdhury and Lorik could present a defense at a violation hearing if they believe they are not responsible for the unpermitted work. Yeah, so this guy is like, oh, well, property owners have to keep their properties compliant at all times. Like, what? Are you out of your mind? Okay? Just imagine that somebody walks into your house, right? You own a house, it's sitting vacant, right? Somebody walks in there with a machine gun, okay? And they're like, if you come in here, I'll shoot at you. Every time you walk up to the house, they boom, shoot this machine gun. You're dodging bullets. And you're like, well, I can't go in there, right? Meanwhile, they're in there, they're ripping the walls apart. They're, just tearing the place into shreds, right? So you get the police in there, they're able to get this guy out, and immediately the building inspectors run in. Oh, what are these holes in the wall doing? Here's a $10,000 fine. Yeah, okay. All I can say is, this building inspector is an idiot, okay, and he can go to hell. And if you're a landlord in New York, seriously consider investing somewhere else because they don't care about you there. Only thing they care about is obviously, making money off of making people pay stupid fines.